Hello, this is Rita, and this is me and my mommy's podcast, and then my mommy, and there's me, and I'm just talking about this stuff, and then we tap dancing because this is the tap dancing slash autism podcast, and there's a bunch of animals, and I'll be trying to in my hair, and there's bunch of saying, and shit. Also, dancing. Oh, and also, them my food. My boots are amazing. Also, there's me. I'm trying not to have a panic attack. Also, thank you for the podcast about me. Autism and tap dancing and blah, blah, blah. I'm the ADHD thing. Also, this like your adorable pup.
And we are on. Leta, go.
I am Leta, that is my mother. This is the latest steps. If you say anything bad about my mother, I will come for your career when I am older. I don't care if I am a tap dancer. I will come for your career if you say, my mother. I love my mother. Also, we are talking about how all you stupid little people who think Gen Z is Gen Alpha are stupid all today. So you better help me wait for us to be wet.
Okay, so you may have.
Yes, I will be mad for my generation. Gen Z is not Gen Alpha. Teachers out there, what? Say freaking dyslexia. Sorry that my generation is more autistic than your generation. Sorry, my generation is open to being autistic.
Hi, Leta. That was a little bit of a opening there.
I'm sorry, I'll be full of men anger for my generation. That's the place we know how to use.
So last week, we kind of did a preview of what this week is going to be because this week is about a lot of people keep asking me, what's our plan when Gen Alpha gets to the studio? And Gen Alpha is already in a lot of dance studios. And there's a lot about Gen Alpha that differs from Gen Z. And I don't think enough was paid attention to Gen Alpha during COVID for people to understand
Do
what
you
I'm
mean
talking
like
about.
we know what dyslexia is and we can say dyslexia and they cannot say dyslexia and
Let's
they call my
discuss.
generation stupid even though my generation is just fully bombastic with autism.
Okay, let's discuss a few things. One, for those of you who didn't catch it during COVID, Gen Alpha, you are one of the eldest. You were 8 when we went into um the COVID restrictions. So you lost a lot of your childhood in a different way. Like everyone was worried about Gen Z because they lost. You're like, I'm looking at you. Gen Z lost doing middle school dances. They lost high school dances. They lost their high school graduations, which I know are huge
I lost my
milestones.
childhood.
Yeah, so like you lost a lot of playgrounds and a lot of children's things are based off age and height. So when we went in, you could still do Chuck E. Cheese fairly easily. There were playgrounds you could play at. When we came out, things you could do when you went in, you didn't get to gradually outgrow them. They just were gone from you. You also, and I don't think a lot of people understand this, with your therapies went online. Not only did school go online, because everyone keeps calling y'all the iPad generation, and it makes perfect sense because your schools went online, your therapies went online, your pediatrician visits went online.
Plus, I just leave some like all the other generations. We're smarter than technology and we can use technology. And we actually know how to use a ding dang technology. To use technology and like, oh, you likely to, like, seriously, I keep having to teach a lot of adults how to use technology.
Right, ignoring that, for your generation, for the younger kids that were being born or really young during it, preschool went online. So when you're learning how to play with other kids, you're suddenly online doing it. You're not in person. Your visits to grandparents went online. When we did get back into therapies, your speech is you have to see someone's face in order to see how to pronounce, how to move your mouth, how you're supposed to move your mouth. They were wearing masks, not see-through masks, but fully blocking the view mask. That's hard. You were being taught occupational therapy online. Like, this is how you hold something, but I can't touch you. Even when we went back in, your therapist couldn't touch you. You had the 6-foot rule, which is a problem when you're learning therapies. everything, though, was iPad there for at least 6 months to a year.
It took me a good chunk of years when the masks were no longer needed to.
But your formative years, the years that you guys were forming, this is what the world is like, especially the younger Gen Zers or Gen Alpha, sorry. The younger Gen Alphas who were, you're giving me a look, my bad. The younger Gen Alphas who were born into the COVID restrictions. Who, yeah, those poor little babies. But that has had lasting effects that a lot of people aren't paying attention to. Like, no, these kids do a lot differently, but y'all are also much more Gen Xer on you have no fear of death because your very formative years, the years that are the most essential to children, y'all were surrounded by nothing but death.
I would also like to mention all the stupid lingo. Yeah, we only use around Gen in the stupid millennials and boomers. Yeah, we only use it around stupid people. If I'm using skibbity toilet around you, you darn well know we don't respect you. You just darn well know at that point. And if you yeah, this is why we don't respect you. You're stupid though. You're stupid though. This is why we don't respect you. We do not respect you. We don't use our actual lingo around you. We do not respect you in any shape or form. Yeah, we just see you as a human being that's just there. That's just a little dummy.
But I think a lot of dance instructors, this has been a problem for them because they're treating you guys who are going into high school next year as though you're still Gen Z. I've heard people say it's Gen Z and start using Gen Z lingo, and they're like, oh, one, they're using the lingo wrong. I have enough Gen Z lingo that has just kind of suddenly shown up in my vocab because I am hanging around them, unfortunately, as interns, engineer staffers. But two, you guys don't use the same lingo as Gen Z. It would be, I mean, there's a few lingo that millennials use that extras use, especially as older millennials, and a few lingos that, older Gen Z use, but y'all don't use like that. You don't use like all that stuff.
Avi, like Avi, like what?
Y'all also seem to be very much, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing.
Violence, bigoted, probably have a very messed up childhood because we have a very messed up childhood, was sheltered from nothing.
Oh, I mean, that's the other thing is everyone was in their houses. There wasn't a lot of sheltering you kids from anything. And you guys were making the older ones view, especially, were seeing Black Lives Matter protests on TV. You were seeing police brutality on TV. You were seeing the US Capitol building.
Yeah, so if you
Threats.
wonder why we are violent, monkey see, monkey do, and you let monkey see too much, that monkey should have never seen if you wanted a nice monkey.
Then be upset because I'm going to lump some of those younger Gen Zers in there that were still in elementary school when everything went down.
Fuck. Because those Gen Zers have brains.
But a lot of them also, because a lot of your formative years, it's not just under 5, it's under 10. But think about it. All of Gen Alpha was under 10 when this went down. Under 8. 8 was the oldest Gen Alpha when everything went to hell in a handbasket. You've got you have the Ukraine going on. You have the amount of crap you guys have gone through is equivalent to what the Gen Xers went through. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news to people, but you guys are just as bad as Gen X. You have no fear of death. You
I
are ridiculous.
survived COVID. I survived adults. I survived ableism, COVID, and stupid Gens. Trying to
Let's talk
make
about that
me stupid with
ableism. When
some-
everything was going down about, the DEI, it did not include autism. It did not include wheelchair users. It did not include deaf or blind. It was specifically about race, and diversity, inclusion did not include everyone, which
so plus you could barely do your therapy.
not doing your therapies was a huge thing. You guys had, for you, some of the, for you especially, you lost a lot of time in therapy. You lost a lot of ability to do like even your eye tracking and everything because they're trying to teach eye tracking over a freaking Zoom camera is almost impossible. You
Survive that. I can't survive death. The Grim Reaper can't get me.
you also had your PT went online, which that is not exactly the most easy thing to do online.
See? Grim Reaper can't get me. Right?
A lot the amount of therapies, everyone did online. There's one thing doing your mental health therapies online and talking to your psychiatrist online. It's another when you're doing physical therapy. It's another when you're doing occupational therapy. It's another when you're doing speech therapy where you need to really be in person for that to have any effect. You had, I would say, a year and a half of, even though you were seeing a therapist, it was not as worthwhile. And I think there's a lot of teachers and a lot of people who work with youth who aren't thinking that through because they saw Gen Z as the most effective because Gen Z was missing prom. And while prom is a huge milestone, it's not.
Okay, who wants to just dance around in a circle for hours and
I think people are going to be shocked, but I think your generation, especially since you're hearing so much, oh, look at what Gen Z missed out on, and your generation missed out on going to the playground, going to Chuck E. Cheese, going to the indoor playgrounds.
Wait, did you say the oldest Gen Alpha was 8?
When you are at the oldest Gen Alpha when we went into COVID restrictions was 8 years old.
One video for I was 11 say the 12 Gen Alpha well I was 11. So you're saying hello, I was not 12, well I was 11 in 2022. Thank you very much.
And you are one of the oldest Gen Alphas. And I think a lot of dance teachers, a lot of people working with them, because they're like, well, what are you going to do when these kids come in? Because they seem to be weird. And it's
You
like,
mean Gen B? You mean Gen B? You mean B Gen? You mean Beta? You mean Gen B? You mean Gen B? You mean Gen B freaking being born right freaking now?
a lot of the teachers I'm talking to seem to think Gen Alpha is just now making their preschool classes, and Gen Alpha is going into high school next year.
Yeah, you can't tell my generation that we're stupid and half. Yeah, I'm pretty sure only Gen Z has brain rot. Well, I don't know. Gen B is being born, and you say that's Gen A. Yeah, my generation is stupid. Yeah, so I'm saying that. Gen B is being the iPad kids because I don't know if you realize this, but check out the iPad Gen Alpha kids are calling iPad Gen Alpha or Gen freaking.
No, what they're calling a lot of Gen Alpha kids do prefer isolation. They prefer being by themselves. They prefer being on that iPad.
Yeah,
But
that's called being an introvert.
well, but if you think about it, during y'all's formative years, during those most important years of figuring out how to be part of society, we took 2 to 3 years out of y'all's lives and said, here, you have to interact with everyone on an iPad. You have to interact with everyone on Zoom. You have kids that started preschool classes 100% on iPads. You had daycares that were using iPads when they were working with kids. Even once they got back into school, they had iPads and computers. And your generation and the younger Gen Zers are perfectly fine if someone goes, hey, I'll be the bad guy and tell your parent you can't have your phone in class. So your parent can't call you 24/7.
I mean, if they can, though. Luckily, take it. No offense, mother. I love you. I love you, but
I mean, outside of a few very well documented things, like if you have an insulin pump, you need your cell phone for obvious reasonings.
oh, also plus at least my generation, because of the whole COVID thing, knows how to use a dang Kindle. I mean, seriously, I remember two my adults that like have a Kindle because I can't figure out how to use it.
But on the other hand, your generation is watching Sony and Nintendo and Kindle. Even now, you can't download your books the way you used to. And your generation's going, give me CDs, give me vinyl, give me the old stuff. Your generation is much more. Oh, and do not
Comic book, please. Comic book, please, please. Comic book, comic book, comic freaking paper freaking book.
But so for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about here, a lot of the digital stuff, it turns out you were just renting the rights.
It keeps undownloading games I've downloaded.
But-
Yeah, I stopped playing games on my Kindle a long time ago because of that.
But it also, like Sony went through and took out everyone's books and movies and a bunch of PlayStation games. Nintendo's just deleted a bunch of Game Boy games that people had purchased. They bought the rights to this, and now they're being told those rights don't exist. So your generation's more like, go get me my expensive record player. Y'all will drop a good dime on the record players. And people think and y'all like absolutely positively fall in love with a car that has a radio. I mean, radio could make a comeback if
It's
they
a
wanted
cool
to.
car. Was I on CD player? Please, 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 please. This smart car is a cool car because I'm still during COVID. Teslas, I got bored. I mean, seriously, I was looking at cars to spot cars, and there was too many dang Teslas. I got bored quick.
But there is a huge difference between you guys and Gen Z because Gen Z went through COVID differently. They were older. They had their relationships already from middle school. And yes, they missed middle school dances. Yes, they missed prom. Yes, they missed homecoming. But those are just milestones. They're not the training ground that y'all needed, where it's like, how do I interact with people? How do I problem solve? How do I have an actual conversation? Which means y'all have a much different viewpoint.
How do I get on board when I've watched every single TV show movie that is available because they can't make any more TV shows or movies because Hollywood is just
Well, and then on the boredom, a lot of Gen Alpha parents absolutely overbooked y'all. Like there is not a moment of downtime in y'all's schedule. I mean, I'm the opposite parent going, you can have boredom and figure out what you want to do in your boredom. But we're seeing that parents got so used to trying to cram it all in that they failed to teach y'all how to deal with boredom. And so there are Gen Alpha kids that the reason they're picking up their iPad or their cell phone is boredom physically hurt.
except if you had to go into COVID and then go into schools, then yeah, that's stupid. So yeah, just weirdo. They're stupid. That's what CI is, and then going online and saying, "Oh, these kids are stupid. They can't read." No, it's like CIU.
Not even, because you're right.
I'm sorry. I'm just getting mad that I keep going online and seeing people say, "Oh, Gen Alpha's stupid. Gen Alpha's stupid." We know this is a type of disability.
Well, let's talk about that even. A lot of y'all, when you were supposed to be learning, because like you have major dyslexia, obviously. Hold on, getting an actual text real quick from someone who knows dyslexia. You have dyslexia, but let's put this way. Gen Alpha, during those years, you should have been learning reading by sitting by a teacher or whatever. Even once you got into school, you went into all COVID restrictions when you were 8. You were 11 by time we were completely out of COVID restrictions. That's 3 years of like your dyslexia stuff not being looked at. For younger kids, because the teachers aren't right there with them, they're on iPads. How the heck do you catch dyslexia if you're not there to catch it?
Technically 4 because I went to it when I was 8, and then there was 9 and 10. Is it not technically 4?
It's 3. If you want to call it 4
Numbers
before
make
things went kind of back to normal, we can do 4.
Yeah,
But the thing, they weren't catching autism as quickly with that group because there wasn't a way to catch the autism. We may be overdiagnosing autism right now because a lot of it may have been just a lack of interaction when kids were younger. It turns out you need to be around family and stuff from like 0 months to 5 years old. You need to be out running on playgrounds. There's a core muscle problem because y'all aren't out there running on playgrounds. You're not out there doing the dangerous crap that Gen X and the older millennials were doing.
And
But
yet they say my generation has core muscles problems because we're lazy. Oh, hello, yes, you forgot about.
well, and
Hello,
not
yes,
only
I am fiery mad.
well, not only COVID, but there was a lot of stuff we were doing to do core muscles, like going up the spider webs or going up fireman poles or doing things that are dangerous. And it turns out that dangerous stuff was building muscles.
But I was never allowed to do the dangerous things. So you
Dangerous.
allowed me kind of on the dangerous things, except you didn't allow me to break myself.
But like I was talking to one of your PTs before COVID, and he's like, just go let her run up on the spider web at the park. And I'm like, they've taken all that stuff out. And he's like, oh, well, this is a problem because we're creating kids who can't do this stuff. And Gen Alpha, they took even more stuff out of the parks, and there's less ways for you to build your strength that we previously did.
Yeah, playgrounds still look boring now because all you can really do at a playground right now is slide. And that gets boring quickly. Uh, swings. And swings. That's
Swings
really
build
things
core
and
strength.
parts
Swings build
that can
strength.
still do. I mean,
Swings.
swings are literally the only thing you can't outgrow.
Swings build strength. And the problem we've got right now is that we are getting, but because of that, because you're not getting this core strength, when you come in and the strength of like working your leg muscles, I mean, the amount of muscles worked on a swing is outrageous. But because you're not getting that on your playground time, you're going into dance studios and these dance teachers are like, well, back in my day, well, yeah, back in your day, we had all this stuff that was trying to kill us. We had swings, we had,
Oh, so there wasn't COVID?
there wasn't COVID. I mean, the key fact there, playgrounds were closed. Playgrounds
Oh, so
were
can you
closed.
please stop calling me Gen Never 11th? I could brain. This zombie. Right, except the younger Gen Zers, I'm pretty sure a good chunk of them have brains. But this zombie, I'm human being, my zombie. Also, they take everything online too literally, and I don't.
Well, I think that also goes back to the difference because you guys were raised differently with online. Where Gen Z was raised kind of like boomers, take everything literally online. Gen Z takes everything literally online. But you guys were raised in a more questioning deal
I
because
look
what
at
was
my
going on.
sources. Also, plus, I make sure they're not Gen Z because if they are Gen Z, I'm just gonna take nothing literally because Gen Z.
That's the other thing because of how when you guys were raised, because there were a lot of questions about what was going on, because parents and people that you guys were looking up to were asking questions and going, prove, prove, prove. Your generation is much more likely to need sources. Your generation is much more likely to need facts and multiple sources, not just one source. And do not quote to your generation, I speak for science, because your generation's going to go, and where's the science?
Yes. And do I still like My Little Pony? Yes. Why? COVID. And that was the.
That's another thing. You've had so many dance teachers go, but she's keeping that childhood stuff and other stuff. And it's like, but we had different childhoods. Gen Z actually had their childhood. What they missed was their teen years. And everyone's all like, oh, poor Gen Z. And I'm not saying Gen Z didn't miss a bit, but they're like, poor Gen Z, they didn't get their prom. Poor you guys, you didn't get diagnoses. There were also a lot of kids who didn't necessarily get their cancer diagnoses.
As a plus, now I barely know how to interact with human beings.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing is Gen Z is complaining. A lot of people are like, oh, poor Gen Z, they didn't get their prom. You guys didn't get to have play dates as a child.
Yeah, also plus, have they seen Gen Z at dating? They have like the most stupidest ideas on dating. Like, I keep running into stuff about Gen Z and how they didn't get to date, and I'm over here like, have you seen the stupid ways they break up? You better know they were dating was actually caring about it. What stupid. At least my generation, when we grow up and get to, at least my generation, when we probably be less stupid on dating.
And Gen Z is very much, they're not dating for love. They're not dating for companionship. They're not dating for relationship. They're dating for a
I say
contract.
okay in the head. I say okay in the head. My generation seems smarter on everything, including pheromones, and that's a problem.
Let's take one that I don't think people are quite understanding where Snow White is failing. Snow White, Wish, all these new Disney movies, they're targeted towards Gen Alpha. What is one thing they're all missing, Leta?
A cutesy couple because I want my cutesy couples because I will have my cutesy couples.
And that's the thing is, I think Gen Alpha, you guys grew up in such a you guys started forming memories. You guys started forming what this world was, even those who didn't form memory because they were so young. In such a terrible time, y'all are looking for escapism. You don't want to be preached to about diversity. You don't want to be preached to about girl power. The same, because that's how where Gen Z is. Gen Z needs to do this whole, and they do. They're like the boomers. They need to do this whole, oh, the world is so messed up. Let my thing be it. I'm looking at the generation coming up behind them, and dance studios are still targeting millennials and Zoomers who are kind of out. I would love to tell y'all, most of y'all are millennial teachers now, so you're definitely not teaching millennial students. Your generation, you put Snow White on, it's a totally different story
If
for your
I'm
generation.
not having my
But outside of Snow White's little issue with the prince not really knowing her that well when he kissed her, if you could fix that portion of Snow White and keep the love story, your generation would be perfectly
you can
fine
make
with.
it like Swan Lake when that they know. Or you could make it where they were betrothed and like each other at first and then slowly fell in love but didn't really know that each other that greatly because they met every time there was a political deal and got to hang out with each other every time there was political deal, so they slowly fell in love and was betrothed since they were born. And both same age.
Let's try something that's not too controversial with your age group. Love at First Sight with Sleeping Beauty.
See, also plus that is a real human being thing that happens
Let's
a
take
lot.
your generation Cinderella, which is also my generation Cinderella, seems to be your generation Cinderella. And when anyone mentions Cinderella, you know who they're not mentioning?
The live action?
They're mentioning live action. They're just not mentioning Brandy's Cinderella. And you're like, excuse me, have you seen Brandy's Cinderella lately?
I mean, there is a creepy boy mom song. There is.
Oh, not that one. That's
not
the
that
Broadway
one?
one. I mean Brandy,
one?
as in Whoopi Goldberg, Brandy,
I
Whitney
like
Houston.
that one. That's a surprise. Cutesy couple. Cutesy couple. I just want my cutesy couples. I just want my. And they won't give me my couples. Why can't I have my cutesy ever love couples? Can't I have my cutesy ever love couples? I can see a love couples like in the one Thanksgiving movie from 2020. I mean, cutesy gay couples. They are cutesy.
Just want a cutesy you guys just want a love story. You guys want to be transported into a story that's not preaching to you.
Yeah, I just want whimsical. This is why I watch DreamWorks more often than anything else, because I get whimsical.
Okay, what about a wild robot from last year?
Whimsical. Was Britney had some sort of message from my naked eye. Though I'm fine with the hidden message. I'm fine. My naked eye there was into my face, so I'm fine. And it was cutesy. Sad. It made me feel feelings, and I was confused because I felt feelings.
So bringing this back into the dance studio, I think a lot of dance studio owners, a lot of dance studio teachers haven't realized that you guys are their current bulk of students. You guys are the ones who they need to be targeting their whole stuff to. They're still busy over here targeting Gen Z.
But they tell me to not have the feelings. And now I barely can deal with feelings. And Wild
because
Robot made me feel feelings, and I was confused.
that's what they are so targeted on Gen Z. They're targeted on they're not understanding y'all came up totally separate, different. Gen Z was in middle school and high school. Yes, they suffered. We all suffered differently. This is not the suffering Olympics, but because y'all were pulled out of society at such a young age, at such delicate young ages, they're sitting there thinking, but these kids are so different. And it's like, yes, because you guys came of age, you guys started understanding how to work you a little bit less than some of the younger Gen Alpha, how this world works inside a bubble. And they're trying to get you to interact with them like Gen Z or like millennials interacted with them. And we're not the same
Oh
one.
yes, I'm violent, and I like things that are very, very, very much probably inappropriate for me, but I don't care.
It was
Creepy.
also use words that previous generations wouldn't have used. You guys just use them because guess what? That's just who you are. You guys will use derogatory language more than any other generation minus Gen X.
What's derogatory?
Things that could be hurtful to other people, even within communities.
Do I care? No. Oh,
Well, but
did they care? No.
y'all are more likely to use the derogatory language that's meant towards your community. I'm not gonna put it on here for right now because I don't want people getting mad at us. But like you guys will call each other derogatory terms that are meant for your community.
Yep. So none of us get hurt.
Y'all have thicker skins than like Gen Z but y'all also get mad quicker.
Gen Z cries about every time they stop their freaking on what? Just babies that need to be put in bubble wrap because they're that fragile. Actually, no, bubble wrap would probably hurt them too.
No, but you guys, the difference between y'all and Gen Z is between the Xers and boomers. And I definitely think that you guys are more baby X because y'all do not give a damn what anyone thinks about you. You don't give a damn about demanding. You want what you deserve, and you're willing to make sure you get, how do I put this nicely? You know that your hip will not function properly.
Yep.
You absolutely know your hip will not function properly. When a teacher comes up to you and does all the Gen Z or younger millennial, oh, well, I don't see the disability. I think, how quickly do you lose respect for the teacher?
What do you mean how? Oh wait, are we talking about non-Gen Z? Because I lose respect for non-Gen Z pretty quickly when I start speaking lingo. I just lose respect for a moment there.
Okay. So, dear dance teachers, please, oh, please, oh, please, for my sanity, if
Don't
you're a
use
millennial,
the toilet on me. I will fucking lose love and respect for this moment your mouth.
I mean, y'all lingo isn't real lingo. It is more, I miffed at you, and this is what I'm going to say because I
I
don't
know
like
cuss
you.
words. Cuss words are lingo. Cuss words, lingo.
No, but like when I'm talking to Gen Alpha, I have never in my life had Gen Alpha use any of their lingo. And I'm going to use that in quotation marks because I don't think it's real lingo. You're not saying it to each other.
Yeah. You use that lingo on stupid people, but I just forget to use it on a regular basis. I
I
forget
think
to
a
use
bunch of
stuff on
teachers don't
stupid people.
understand. You'll have no respect for authority figures unless they earn your respect. They have to prove they are worthy of your respect. You walk into a dance studio and it's not like, oh, this is the dance teacher. They have my respect. You walk
Why would
into
they have my respect? I need them to open their mouths for me to decide whether they're stupid and worthy of my ever-loving boiling up anger, or what Why? Okay, I'll just deal with you.
I don't think that is explained enough to in the education world, let alone in the dance world, where they're like, but we've always respected our teachers. Your generation grew up with so many people questioning authority. The adults around you were questioning authority. So why wouldn't you question? Why aren't I mean, it makes perfect sense. And when people are like, well, I don't know what's going on with my Gen Alpha, it's like you have to gain their respect. And once you lose a Gen Alpha's respect,
Bloody hell.
you don't get it back. Yours, that is some of the Gen Xers and some of the elder millennials, because I've told people before, you had one chance to get my respect. And the moment you lost it, good luck getting it back. You have one chance to convince me you are worthy of my time. And you're not just getting this from me. I've noticed it from all the Gen Alpha kids I have worked with, and from talking to studio owners and talking to dance. Yeah, you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. You can say that in your
I mean, no, I don't know what you're talking about.
any Gen Xer listening to this would probably be the same. I think the difference between y'all and Gen X is Gen X at least pretended to have some respect for their teachers. Gen X at least
I'm
pretended.
supposed to pretend.
They masked. Y'all don't mask. They masked. Mainly because they would have. But I mean, also,
Why did
I've
nobody
noticed.
tell me I was supposed to pretend?
Well, let's also talk about some other things. I notice a lot of Gen Alpha. Your parents are also kind of like, what? The world's terrible. We all know it's terrible. We also all know we grew up because it's mostly Gen Xers and older millennials having y'all, and some younger millennials. But we grew up with milk cartons that had kids' pictures on them. So please don't tell me that this world is less safe now.
Yes, and my generation is growing up with telling me this kidnapped children. It is fucked up. They're fucked up.
Yeah, but
in
let
head.
me finish my statement there. And that's why you're seeing a lot of us going, well, y'all have cell phones. It's a little safer now. So take your cell phone out. You know how to use it if you get into trouble, and let's go from there. You've got, hates and stuff. But you see a lot more kids just going to the park nowadays than you did for Gen Z. And I don't think people understand that makes you guys a little bit more independent than the younger millennials and the Gen Zers, because your generation is not quite come in when the lights come on. We do not have a 10 p.m. before the evening news. Do you know where your kids are? That was an actual thing, Leta.
I guess I have adults trying to tell me that human beings are good.
There are a lot of good human beings. There's a lot of non-good human beings. Human beings are not perfect. Yeah, but here's the thing. Dance teachers don't understand that. They don't understand that there's a good chunk of y'all that are told go outside and play. There is a good chunk of y'all who are told go find your buddy or go walk to the house or stuff. There are still some very controlling parents out there. Do not get me wrong. There were controlling parents in every generation. But y'all are being raised a lot differently. You came up differently. I think parents felt so bad that we had you so enclosed in a bubble, not of our making. The parents are more likely to push y'all and go have fun. I get yelled at a lot because of what you do. I'm a little bit more overbearing on, please do not climb in that tree, because if you would like to still have a career, you cannot break your leg in multiple places.
I can't even trace.
And I have had people go, Amanda, you're being way
Hello,
too
yes, have you
overbearing."
seen this hip and the strength in my arms? I can't climb trees for the life of me. If I climb a tree to live, I would be dead. I would be dead. I would be dead on the floor. There would be bloody murder all over my
But how many of your
dirt.
friends climb trees where they're in a place where tree climbing is a possibility?
A lot of them, including soul talkers.
But
What?
Gen Z
But
can
you
climb
can't
trees.
control them.
Gen Z can climb trees, Leta.
And yet, my generation doesn't. Yeah. I forgot the Gen Z. Yeah, I keep saying online that, oh, Gen Alpha doesn't climb, Gen Alpha doesn't go outside. Oh, Gen Alpha just stays inside. Yeah, that's Gen Z. You forgot about Gen Z. Yeah, that's all the fake Gen Z then. And then when I get to something talking about Gen Z, it's about, oh, they lost their prom. Oh, they lost middle school. Oh, let's just forget their old lazy couch potatoes. Not all of them.
Well,
But
but you
the
guys
good
also
truck on lazy couch potatoes in Gen Alpha isn't lazy couch potatoes.
A lot of Gen Alpha does do computer games, but y'all do computer games different than anyone else has ever done computer games. I mean, the amount of talkie y'all do on computer games, I'm like, please don't make me interact with other people. And a lot of Gen Z is or Gen Alpha will hop on and they'll do computer games because that's what you guys grew up as your form of interacting with people. But that's not a bad thing. I mean, your formative years playing with grandparents for some kids was playing video games. I mean, you grew up on Zoom. You grew up on streaming. You grew up on this was the only thing available because we were all stuck inside. That aside, because of that, there's a huge difference. You guys even had your were, and I'm not kidding, when I'm looking at dance teachers going, "Are you stupid?" The beginning dance classes for a lot of these kids, they started dance on you're naughty. If you start dance on Zoom, where your entire interaction with your dance teacher is nothing but on Zoom, you started Soul Talk on Zoom. You still Zoom, but your core learning for tap almost exclusively because you were only a year and a half into learning tap when it all went to Zoom.
Like, don't
But I don't think dear dance teachers, you guys started with these kids like Leta's age who were ballet one, some ballet two, but mostly ballet one at your age when everything shut down. You should have realized that was your kids coming up right now. You have kids who learned their basics who are now your age, but those basics, like mommy me class was on Zoom. Your pre-dance on Zoom. You're like,
it's a fun side. Not the only Gen Alpha who got confused a lot when I was younger. Teenager. You know, it's so funny because I wasn't the only Gen Alpha who got confused with Gen Z and being a teenager, and I wasn't the only Gen Alpha who was asked, why don't you have a boyfriend? Yeah, why don't you have a girlfriend? Yeah, why aren't you worried about driving? Why aren't you worried about it in high school? And we were still.
yeah, well, no, a lot of it was you all had to grow up quicker. You had to learn technology quicker. You had to learn how to interact with adults because that was your only interaction was with your parents 90% of the time during the first few months or with grandparents. You guys weren't necessarily hopping on to play dates. I mean, people tried to do play dates, but even then it was mostly parents doing the play dates on Zoom and the kids just sitting there and independently playing. I COVID disrupted your childhood in a totally different way than COVID disrupted the adolescence of Gen Z. And everyone was so concerned, even at the time, oh, look, Gen Z is not getting their high school and middle school stuff. This is going to change things. It changed y'all in ways that the last time I think you could totally see this, everyone was putting it to the 1918 flu. I don't think it was the 1918 flu because the 1918 flu, they did not go into what we went through. 1918 flu after 12 weeks, everything went bye-bye and that caused 90% of the problem. I think you're looking at your Isaac Newtons. I think you're looking at your Mary, whatever her name is, with Dracula. I think that
Oh, guy who figured out gravity and was like, introvert, lockdown.
I think that's what you're looking at though, is there was such a jump from that group that was coming of age or in their coming out of college. And I think they are more akin to what you guys are with Gen Alpha is you guys had this huge jump, but you also so much of what you are has been defined by what happened in those few years. And it's not going to change.
Yeah. Also, plus, it took me until last year to finally grapple with no one having masks on. And I feel like it shouldn't have took me until 2024 to finally grapple with COVID being dead.
Well, but that's the thing is we still have the ramifications of COVID will be with us for a lifetime. The ramifications of a global pandemic is lifetime ramifications. We see it in epidemics like Japan and China with the SARS and MERS. But
Yep, and my generation just got me telling our children if they ever say COVID-19 to shut up, you never heard that name. Go to your real what? Wait, do I have a child? What? I said don't say that name. What did you do? Say that name. Go to
I think we spent so much time as a country, as a nation, focusing on what Gen Z was going through, and trying to help Gen Z through it, that we didn't notice we were giving children your age. In reality, I think that there's a paper to be had on whether or not you guys all have compounded PTSD from what happened in your childhood and how it changed what your childhood was like. I think there has been more sympathy for Gen Z and what Gen Z went through and less understanding of we took away critical moments in your guys' lives that while going to homecoming is a milestone that I am sorry Gen Z didn't get, y'all lost years of how to interact. You will lost those years of learning how to be part of a group. And those are things that you cannot get back. We could put on a homecoming for these kids who lost their homecoming. We could put on proms for these children who lost proms. We could go back and give them graduation. Would it be the same? Not completely, but it'd be something. What we cannot do is build a time machine and give you guys what your brains needed as you were growing. Losing homecoming is losing a milestone. Losing interaction at a young age when your brain is forming those pathways in your brain, that's irreversible damage.
bad.
And that's the thing. I think Gen Z, as we were coming out, we were concerned about Gen Z's trauma and we were making sure Gen Z's trauma was looked at, but your guys' trauma was compounded by when it happened. And dance teachers, dance studio owners, you have to understand that trauma also was for the parents because we can see what's going on and y'all are over here going, me. I mean, that's not what they're doing, but you don't understand these students you're dealing with. And it's a problem for you too, because then you're sitting there not understanding. I have to laugh. The number of people who try to do the Gen Alpha lingo, and it's not just dance teachers, it's teachers will
Who
sit there.
says skip the toilet? Says the fire skip the toilet. And I got issue of that. No one's just ever let me not meant for anyone's eyeballs.
You get Gen Alpha one-on-one and you get their respect, and those kids talk like many adults.
I mean, I hanged around adults for a good chunk of life, so.
I mean, that's it. That your guys' vocabulary and interactions were from adults, and y'all lived through something that you were hearing about body bags piling up. You were hearing this, you were hearing that, you were hearing teachers complaining because teachers did complain in classes about, oh, well, we can't do XYZ because of XYZ. Teachers doing strikes because they didn't want to be in classrooms with kids who could make them sick. Y'all,
They don't like children? What's job for children while actively not liking children.
It's not that they don't like children, but that's what you guys heard. That is what Gen Alpha heard, was that these teachers didn't care about you at all because of what they were saying. And that wasn't what they were saying. What they were saying is, I would like not to get sick, which is a perfectly
Did
legitimate
you
thing to
hear?
say.
They said around the children. Plus, I was one of those children, and all I heard was, I don't want to be around you, because all they kept saying was, I don't want to be around you in actual English. Those were the actual words.
The thing was that your teachers didn't want to be around you because you guys can be germ factories, because the way our immune systems get to where you can get to 18 and beyond is your little bodies have to process the germs. And a lot of times you guys are carriers without knowing you're carriers. And the more you're processing the germs, the stronger your immune system is when you get older. But that's science. And but a lot of teachers get sick off of that, and they were right. They were fearful of a virus that no one had seen this particular strain before. They were fearful of every time it was mutating, which is how viruses work, just in case anyone didn't catch that. And it scared them.
Literally, not. They often was, I don't want to be near you. I'm scared of you.
They weren't scared of you guys so much as they were scared of the virus that you may have been.
Why did they say they were scared being near us without explaining why, and just saying to be near you?
But even if they had explained why, but that has helped form your generation's view of teachers. You see teachers as people who don't necessarily
Like children? But they all scare children. Scars? Like what? I have any. I got no scars. I got no PTS. Whatever you said, I forgot.
And here's the thing
which
that
way the
dance
layers
teachers
goes.
have to understand. Y'all don't have, like you just said, I don't have any scars, but teachers are scared of us. You heard that from dance teachers. I heard it from public school teachers. You guys knew that teachers didn't want to be around you. And specifically your age group, because Alpha was the more likely to be a carrier than the Generation Z.
You see, why would I be scarred? For life.
COVID changed your generation in ways I don't think dance studios are currently prepared for, and they have y'all in there. And they're looking at me going, so what are you going to do when Gen Alpha shows up? Well, first off, someone needs to be doing studies already, because y'all are going to be hell on wheels when you become adults. Secondly,
But who's to say we are already Hells on Wheels? Alright, yeah, we're gonna repeat
let's
that.
make
Go
it.
with Raven.
Okay, let's be honest. You also love Miranda Lambert's Kerosene, and you were breathlessly waiting for it to finally be on an LP, which it's next month. But
Like,
yeah,
Reader and Black
we're
Magic.
up in a situation where you saw entire cities being brought to a standstill. You saw the violence that was being done by police officers. You saw the violence that was being done by the protesters. You saw violence all around you. You saw a vaccine that was not a vaccine. You saw a virus that was keeping you indoors, where adults were telling you, I'm scared to be around you.
Yeah, see, and I don't know why I keep I keep asking. I keep asking if Kelpie's real, if I could have it as a pet, and I keep getting, no, you can't have it as a pet because it'll draft on you. And I'm like, what my mom said about Kelvin. Kelpie, it won't murder me. Kelpie just like human beings, yes.
And that's what I'm trying to get across today. Dance teachers have to understand y'all are a different generation. Y'all were forged in fire. And y'all act like you were forged in fire. And they saw Gen Z as who was going to have and they're not the only ones. And I at the time was like, ha, this is gonna be fun. I said that a few times. But Gen Z was who everyone was worried about because they're missing milestones. Gen Alpha is who was being forged at the time, not Gen Z. Gen Z was past a lot of those pathways of how to interact with people had already been set. You were just kind of fine tuning them, and you could fine tune on Zoom. What you can't do is set on Zoom.
This is why I like the darkness. Also, this is why I find people stupid when they tell me, "Oh, that should conquer light all the time." Oh yeah, Gen Z was in the light, my generation was in the dark, and yeah, we're smarter. Like, oh, that's just trying to tell me like stupid.
What it is a lot of people, good versus evil. I think your generation has come up where you don't necessarily see a problem with the darkness. Where because that is what you were forged in a lot of ways. You were forged in that, especially the older half of Gen Alpha. You were forged in a very worldwide issue, and it has just continued since then. We, got out of COVID and you went into Ukraine, you went into Syria, you went into all this stuff going on around the world that is like, and the politics right now, if anyone doesn't think your generation's not paying attention to politics, yeah, I love that eyebrow look. Your generation is paying closer attention to stuff than their parents and than their teachers know. And while their teachers are saying things, you're seeing this great schism in this country in politics. And a lot of you are like, okay, and you're seeing Gen Z push that schism. You are seeing Gen Z go, well, the schism is good. We need to break families apart because we have such political differences. And you can say that into your microphone.
Oh, are you saying I can't go to evil jackasses into the microphone? Like, seriously, if this like this, that's hard to dark.
Well, that's the difference is you guys are saying what Gen Z and other people are calling the light is that schism. And that schism is just making things worse and worse in a lot of ways. And I don't want to get too political, but for your generation, you're like, we were forged in fire. We were forged where a vaccine that had not been tested was something people were talking about. Whereas and I say this as sweetly as possible, y'all were a lot more aware of what was going on, I think, at times than Gen Alpha was. Because Gen Alpha, we go up to their rooms. Y'all were down there with your parents hearing a lot of stuff.
Gen Alpha.
I meant Gen Z. I'll cut that.
Yeah, definitely cut that. Yeah, definitely
Let's
cut that.
wrap this up because we're getting to.
Oh
you
yeah,
to go.
okay. Hello, yes, this is my mom. I am Leta. This is Leta's Styles. I am a fiery Gen Alpha. About how many people keep talking about Gen Alpha online, and it's just freaking sick. So, help me out. Can you please pass this around online, please, 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 please? I am begging you for once. I'm actually begging people, please, Alpha's ears to stop lighting.
If you are trying to work with Gen Alpha, you've got to understand this generation. It is totally different, ignoring the autism issue that we deal with at studio. But even then, the difference between what Gen Z got and what Gen Alpha got as far as autism therapy is night and day. There's a Grand Canyon wide schism between what you guys got there, isn't there, Leta?
Yep. Okay. Thank you for watching. This has gone an hour because it is really not being able to be put in snippets the anger I have. Also, like, seriously, please, I'm begging you, pass this around. Like, seriously, please, please, please. My generation Sonics.
Also, for the sake of Leta's generation, maybe learn your Gen Alphas, because I think a lot of it is a generational misunderstanding. And I think that misunderstanding is making things worse because a bunch of people do not understand Gen Alpha versus the rest of us. And that's not a bad thing. That's just a thing. Friday, we have Rebecca Engel on the show. She is an amazing young activist, even if she's Gen Z, right, Leta? Out of San Antonio.
Yeah, but she's one of the few with a brain, and I don't count that as Gen Z. I don't. She's not Gen Z. She's got a brain. She's not Gen Z.
Dear Gen Z, Gen Alpha thinks worse of you than you thought of millennials.
Why would I think about them? I don't care about them. Why would I think about? I don't care about them.
Anyways, tune in Friday for our discussion with Rebecca Engel. Next month is Autism Awareness Month, and we are doing a full push to get the new studio building fully funded. Correct, Leta?
Yes, and also like seriously, Blake, what the fuck?
Love you. We're going to leave description or links in the description below for our two big fundraisers we're doing. This is the soft kickoff this month. Next month starts everything is going to talk about it. The first 2,000 people who join the Help Us Get Grants Club, they'll get a keychain made by you, correct? All 350 people who join the 350 and 365 club get a keychain made by you. You're giving me a thumbs up. And if you join at the $20 level for our Help Us Qualify for Grants Club, later in the year, once we figure out what they look like, we are going to give the first 2,000 people who join that holiday ornaments from AWDC. We just haven't figured out what they look like yet, have we, Leta? Have a good week. And any other thing you want to say, Leta, before we go?
Like seriously.
See everyone Friday.
Hello, thank you for watching the podcast, and please subscribe, and also look at the adorable paper. So if you want to subscribe for it, and also please leave a like, and don't forget, if you subscribe to our stuff, you won't miss any of our new podcast stuffies. And also, did you see the adorable paper? Don't you like it?